mid-car and the railing, which should be behind him, going in front of him.
To Nick Collerstrom, these blurry pixels add up to a conspiracy.
It was fabricated because the four did not meet up in that car park and did not get the train up to London that morning, in my view.
In the aftermath of 9/11, rumours swirled around the globe alleging a Jewish conspiracy. The Israeli secret police were alleged to have tipped off Jewish workers in the Twin Towers. And in London, after 7/7, there were similar allegations of warnings received by Jewish people. 7/7 ripple effect questions whether Israel could have been part of a grand conspiracy.
Was the London bombing a covert MI5 operation or an Israeli Mossad operation?
There was a credible news report that day that Israeli officials at the embassy in London were warned about the impending attacks.
Let me just read this from the Associated Press newswire. Senior Israeli official says Scotland Yard told Israel minutes before explosions that it had received warnings of possible terror attacks.
On 7/7, the Israeli embassy was staging a trade convention for top international financiers at this hotel at Liverpool Street. Among the guests were the Israeli ambassador and Benjamin Netanyahu, then Israeli finance minister. But Mr. Netanyahu never arrived. In the confusion after the attacks, Associated Press reported that Scotland Yard had tipped off the Israeli delegation. Is that why Mr. Netanyahu didn't show up at the conference? Amir Gilad was Benjamin Netanyahu's media advisor and was at his side during his time in London. Mr. Netanyahu and his team were staying at this hotel in Mayfair. On the morning of 7/7, they were preparing to drive across London to the conference at Liverpool Street.
We were eating breakfast here about 8:30, 8:45 in the morning. We were supposed to get out of the hotel around 9 o'clock towards Liverpool Street.
Just round the corner from Liverpool Street, the conference was just getting underway. Jerry Lewis is a journalist who was covering the event.
There were about 250 people here. Leaders of industry from Israel, leaders of industry from Britain.
Some breaking news. Reports are just coming in of an explosion.
At 8:50, a bomb ripped through a tube train just after leaving Liverpool Street Station. In Mayfair, Mr. Netanyahu was about to leave for the conference.
On the way out of the dining hall, I bumped into a British policeman who said, wait, don't go out because something happened in the Liverpool Street area. We understood that it was an explosion. So we stayed in the hotel.
So there was a warning, but only after the attack. This photograph shows Jerry Lewis with the Israeli ambassador 2 minutes after that bomb went off. None of the important guests knew in advance. It was only an hour after the bomb exploded that the hotel was evacuated.
Had they known anything, this conference at 9 o'clock would never have started. They would have cleared everybody out way in advance. They would not have allowed the people of the calibre that were here to have remained here.
There is no evidence of any warning before the attacks. The Israeli embassy say they weren't tipped off. Associated Press told us their report was based on incorrect information from a senior Israeli source. And Scotland Yard say they didn't have any advance knowledge and gave no warning. Like the conspiracy theory suggesting Jewish workers were warned to stay away from the Twin Towers on 9/11, the 7/7 Israeli warning is fiction.
I think it's a fairy tale, like other fairy tales that we are used to be involved in during history as Israelis, as Jews. I think it's outrageous even to think that the Israeli security services are involved in this.
According to the official account, these men got on board 3 tube trains carrying homemade explosives in rucksacks and blew themselves up, killing 39 innocent people and injuring many more. The next key contention of the conspiracy theory is that the bombs were actually planted underneath the carriages by government agents. Bruce Late is a survivor of the attacks who thought he saw evidence of a bomb underneath the train. On the morning of 7/7, Bruce was on his way to a ballroom dancing audition. At Liverpool Street, he got on a Circle Line train heading towards Aldgate.
I just got on the train, sat down reading the newspaper about us getting the Olympics in 2012, and I've had quite a good feeling about everything. Sitting on the train, going to my audition. Must have been not much longer than 30 seconds. All of a sudden, it didn't feel like I was on the train anymore. Something was very, very different. It was very strange. I had this very heavy feel to it, this very heavy kind of not of this world feel to it.
According to the official account, Shehzad Tanweer had detonated a bomb, killing himself and 7 others. In the aftermath, something caught Bruce's eye.
As I was getting off the train, I noticed that there was a hole, and the hole was as if there was a bomb or the explosion had burst up through the floor of the train, and that was just about there.
Bruce doesn't know whether he actually saw evidence the bomb was underneath the carriage, and not in Tanweer's rucksack, as the authorities said. Across London, at Edgware Road Underground Station, there were other suggestions from survivors of a hole underneath the carriage. At 8:50, a Circle Line train had been devastated by an explosion just outside the station. Some of those on board were telling a Guardian journalist of how the explosion came from beneath the train.
Where we believe there was an explosion this morning under the carriage of a train, and some passengers described how the tiles, the covers on the floor of the train suddenly flew up, raised up. And
nearly 2.5 years after 7/7, Bruce got a mysterious package in the post.
Why do you think you were sent the DVD?
To open up a can of worms in my mind.
It was a copy of the internet film 7/7 Ripple Effect.
I don't really know who it was sent by, but there was some foreign-sounding name in the credits at the end of this DVD.
A message from Muad'Dib about the 7th of July 2000.
7/7 Ripple Effect draws on one interview Bruce gave a few days after the attacks, where he mentioned a hole in the carriage floor. It was published in his local paper, but it wasn't missed by Muad'Dib.
Pre-planted explosives. Witnesses of the tube train explosions state that the floors of the train blew upwards from underneath, not downwards, as would be the case with explosives inside the trains.
7/7 Ripple Effect claims the 4 men blamed for the bombings were patsies. They were tricked into travelling to London with rucksacks on 7/7. They were caught on CCTV to incriminate them. The video claims the authorities then set off pre-planted explosives on the tubes and bus and framed the 4 men.
That's when I started asking the questions. What did happen? If what the Ripple Effect says is true, then we should know about it, and it should be looked into in a massive way, because, like I say, it basically is saying that somebody is to blame other than those suicide bombers. Who is it?
The internet is alive with allegations that on 9/11 3 huge skyscrapers were destroyed by controlled demolition, and that it was an inside job. Now similar allegations are being made about 7/7, that it too involved controlled demolition by government agents. At 9:47 in Tavistock Square, a number 30 bus was torn to pieces by an explosion. According to the official account, Hazib Hussein had detonated a bomb on board, killing himself and 13 other people. But if that's true, why was there a controlled demolition van next to the bus? This is that van. The company Kingstar specialises in controlled demolition. So what was the van really doing next to the blown-up bus? On 7/7, its driver was on his way from Kent to a job in